Okie dokie. Well, we have continued to kind of have skill allocation be a background thing, just kind of keeping fighting and invocations on the back burner, which invocations, I've not been touching my invocations. What's wrong, sweetie? You've barely touched your invocations this run. Whoops. Well, let's maybe evocate a little bit then. That at least has slightly better odds of me being cognizant of it as an option in any given scenario, just because of my, for whatever reason, my love of evocables in this game. I mean, I say whatever reason, they are pretty strong in their own right, to be fair. I also would very much like to get a better amulet. I didn't realize we're still in that Spirit Guardian that I kind of threw on as a shmeesh mop, why the heck not approach earlier, but hey, we'll see. Maybe that will come back in a big way. That will be the Deus Ex Machina that brings us through to another dawn. Or not, because I'm switching to regen. Get absolutely wrecked. Hell yeah, brother. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted here. I mean, reflection might be nice too. We did also just pick up that tower shield, and so that gives us some impetus now to go back into the shields well and potentially do some training there. I mean, the tower shield, that's pie in the sky stuff right there. It's going to be a while since, or not since, but rather until we have the relevant skill to be able to handle a big boy like that. But I mean, if we don't come across too much that gives us a reason to you know, train any which way in particular, then why the hell not, I guess. Okay, jumping spiders are definitely doing their best to ruin our attempts at creating a safe killing corridor to handle all of our problems with. But not the end of the world, and in general, I mean, just comparing that to our swamp entrance, leagues above. Aeons ahead in terms of success, at the very least, at a surface level. But in general, compared to expectations as well, I would say similar things. Okie dokie. Ooh. Not a Wrath of Math. That's something that I regret not owning, that verbal, what's the word I'm looking for? Mistype? There's a more colloquial or slang way of saying that, but regardless, verbal mistype it is. Okie dokie. Well, not too shabby. We definitely don't really want to be surrounded. So come out with your hands up. We've got you surrounded. I think I'm due for another rewatch of Inside. It's been a while. For anyone who wasn't able to place that reference in real time. And in fact, if you haven't seen Inside, I mean, I'd be shocked, because most people who spend a certain amount of time on the internet probably are at least tangibly aware. You know, you have at least the knowledge of the cultural zeitgeist to know what I'm talking about. But again, if you happen to fall into those camps, I would recommend watching it. It was definitely, I'm curious how it, I mean, I think overall it's held up in terms of like the humor and a lot of that stuff. Because modern day Bo Burnham is definitely up my alley in a lot of that regard. But I'm curious how much of like the essence of that movie, short film, I'm not good with my filmographic classifications, but it was very like emblematic of COVID, and it I think captured a lot of the essence and the feelings of that time extremely well. Spoonerisms? Okay, that's something that's tickling my brain. Spoonerism. Okay, a verbal error in which the speaker accidentally transposes the initial sounds. Oh, that's cool. Okay, that's kind of, I guess not along the lines of what I was mentioning earlier, because it wasn't about mixing up the two, it was just about having two very similar morphemes, but I definitely fall victim to spoonerism ticks all the time. Definitely for the Wrath of Math. That's a perfect example of a spoonerism right there. Holy moly, look at that. And people say this isn't an educational stream. We'll do that, you know, what is... Wow, I'm on fire today for, again, for someone who was just talking about my, at least certain level of, like, confidence in my ability to, gab away. I'm on fire today for, misplacing thoughts and sentiments in my head. But, nonetheless, I guess we just, through the fire and flames, we carry on. But no, I was thinking more generally, what do you call when you mistype something? When you text someone and you're like, duck me, man. What is going on up there? Not a lot, I think is fair to say. Because mistype is not right, is it? Am I losing my mind? Don't answer that. As your lawyer, I would strongly recommend you do not answer that statement. He says to himself, insanely. But, regardless of my brain's inability to remember even the most commonly used of expressions and phrases. Typo, by the way. Those of you keeping score of just how bad my brain is, that's what I was going for. A verbal typo. I don't know, maybe I guess me talking about mistyping kind of got at least some of the way there, but who's to say? I mean, that's the thing I always laugh about, and I will definitely always instantly use it to defend if like other people misspeak or anything like that. I very much put a lot of credence into the idea that language is meant to communicate things. If you say the word wrong and I understood what you meant, was there a problem? Is there an issue with how that was communicated? And that's not to say I won't, you know, occasionally make fun of my partner and vice versa, and make fun of myself at the drop of a hat. Don't even need much prompting for that side of things. But, oh, there's an invisible friend here somewhere. Let's just swing away at you, my friend. I think they deal like 3d20. No, I'm thinking of demonic crawlers. Oh gosh. He's falling apart at the seams, folks. I've lost my rhythm and my cadence, and now I'm floundering. He's floundering. And we're not talking... You know, I was trying to think of a more clever way to reference it. I was doing a Little Mermaid flounder thing, but then I realized, oh crap, the flounder fish is just named Flounder. There's like no fun wordplay here, I just have to say the name of the fish. Oh, foiled again by Disney's naming conventions. Son of a gun. Okay, acidify this rad roach. Okay, that went way better than our initial encounter with that son of a gun. Hell yeah, brother. And okie dokie. Well, I think at this pace we will hopefully be good to kind of wrap up Spider here. Maybe, just maybe, get a bit of a bow going. Right, I should actually be reciting against the crawlers here. I forget that they're dumb and bad. which is good god speak or evil. You were gonna say floundering is more common in shoals than spider? Pardon the dad joke. Oh, never requires any pardoning or apologies on my part. I eat that up. That was great. And see, that's the exact kind of reference that my brain was scrambling for, and it was like, no, we can't come up with something else that also works in this content. We are dedicated to this Little Mermaid reference, and you aren't going anywhere until you come up with something, which, as we're all unfortunately aware, in the end, it didn't even matter. Tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, all my brain wanted was a Disney reference. I think that's my biggest hurdle when it comes to sometimes the times where my brain shuts down, I guess, and stops serving me up the words I'm looking for. It's always the case where I'm not just looking for a word, I'm looking for the word. And if I can't get to the word, I'm burning it all down. It's scorched earth, and you're not saying a single, like, sensical sentiment throughout the entire expression of whatever we're trying to say. And unfortunately, that's just how my dumb mental faculties have decided to operate. Again, I'll make the same joke as before. It is for better and definitely for worse. You kids definitely can't face you both at the same time. Again, that was probably a time where reciting would have been in the cards for us if there was, you know, even a little bit of reason, thought, intelligence, civility, what have you, going on up here, then that would have been the case. Holy moly, that was a lot of damage real fast. What the hell happened, brother? I mean, your bite definitely isn't doing us any favors, and I think that is a big part of the issue at hand, and unfortunately, you're the one person I can't actually get rid of. But okay, we still start with a fear, and then we probably do a warp on this son of a gun. Then what else have you got to say for yourself, Wand Collection? I mean, we have more warping. When in doubt, let's just Star Trek these son of guns, eh? And this is actually probably a good time to read a teleport. Those other two are going to be coming back right away here, and I'd rather they didn't have a home to come back to. Which is, you know, dark and horrible of me to say, but to be fair, they tried to murder me. I was going to say in cold blood, but this, I think, by definition, fails to fall under the categorization of cold blood, because we are, I mean, the murdering goes both ways, after all, if we're being honest with ourselves and each other. Holy moly, keep hitting these. One of warping, that's new to you. Last game you won was in 0.29 or something. Yeah, when did warping get added? It was with a lot of the wand changes. So I think you might have just been a version off. I think that was 0.30 that introduced Quicksilver wands. So now you have like Quicksilver and Acid were mutually exclusive for a while, and then you had like Warping and Ice Blast. I think were mutually exclusive for a while, but now in the more recent version they can all show up. I'm a bit fuzzy on the details. Again, if you want intelligent observations or dissections of basically anything, I was going to limit it to DCSS, but basically anything, then I am not your guy. But yeah, it was relatively recent that Warping, Quicksilver. Is there another wand in there I'm forgetting? Maybe Quicksilver even came earlier. Maybe Warping is newer than that. Wiki says 0.32 for Warping. Do you think Quicksilver's just added in the last version you played? Okay, there we go. Perfect. I love the confirmation that I was at least correct in one thing, and that one thing is that I am probably incorrect in everything else. It's a nice safe bet. You just throw that caveat in the end of any sentence, and at least at the end of the day, you'll be right about something. Win every argument ever with this one simple tip. College campuses hate him. It's actually following a fairly similar line of reasoning to a lot of like grifter personalities on online content creation, because the idea is that if you say like a bunch of it's similar but different, because a pattern I've noticed there is that you say a bunch of stuff that everyone would agree with. So you just talk about how like, you know, the relationships we form with others are important and define who we are as people. And I think that it's very critical that we give the right amount of appreciation and respect for those that deserve it. You say all these things that no matter who you are, you're kind of like, okay, fair. Yeah, I also value friendship. I also value like family, what have you. And then they slip in the bad take. And right at the very end, they're like, oh, and women shouldn't be able to vote. And you're like, oh, crap. If you have the like compartmentalization to realize what's going on, you're like, oh, crap. This ruins my enjoyment of everything. But unfortunately, I think it is a hack into the human brain where a lot of people will hear that and be like, well, all the other stuff was good and smart and I agreed with, so that means I too hate women? And that is how the grift is born. Okie dokie. Take care of these sons of guns. Beautiful. Son of a gun. Get your snail butt out of my life, please and thank you. No offense to snails or their butts. It was that particular snail and their particular butt that was an issue point for us here today. Don't get it twisted. Kind of getting stuck in our own issues here. There we go. I mean, that pharaoh ant is definitely still kicking around somewhere and ready to absolutely ruin our whole career. Or not, or you'll just die. Honestly, kind of embarrassing, my friend, though I have to have some kind of sympathy and commiseration because I too have died stupidly many a times in this dungeon, so, you know, fair play to you in that regard. Regardless of how our status as enemies may wish for me to claim otherwise. Do you know what? I don't like that stairwell. I've always said this. Yeah, that's definitely a tactic they use. Embed their insidious wrong-headed idea amidst a bunch of platitudes nobody can dispute. Right? I feel like that... I mean, there's probably a more succinct way to express that entire concept, but I imagine it falls very much along the same lines of a lot of kind of bad debate tactics, right? You have your ad hominems, personal attacks, you have your straw man arguments, and then you also have this like nested take thing. I don't coin these terms, so unfortunately they don't pay me the big bucks to come up with catchy ways to express these thoughts. I'm just here to you know, garbage in, garbage out when it comes to my mental faculties. But no, 100%. It is very much a tactic that I think, I mean, works fairly well. There's a reason why there are many, many people who have seen success under that model of argument, speech, whatever avenue they decide to take it down. I guess grift is how I kind of give a blanket term to tuck a bunch of these sentiments under, but fortunately that's become a fairly common parlance, and I think most people kind of know what I'm talking about. At least people, I guess, of a similar perspective than me, because at the end of the day, I really don't like the idea of like common sense, right? That's something that I mean, it's probably like Oscar Wilde or something, but the classic idiom of something common sense is that it's not that common. Again, paraphrasing a lot there, but I've definitely come to really, I don't know, incorporate that into how I view a lot of the world around me, because it is so silly that anything really is common sense or obvious. And it comes up in my line of work a lot, right? Because when you have like contract work where you're building something, assumptions are, I mean, the reason why they exist is because they're shortcuts, right? They very quickly get you to arrive at a mental destination and have an answer. But they're also such a sore spot for miscommunication and issues. And, oh, I thought it was obvious that users shouldn't be able to do this. And so I'm very conscious now of whenever I use the words obvious or common sense, I almost always try to add a disclaimer to it, being like, and I'm gonna use the bad words here, and I'm gonna talk about obvious flows, because yeah, it's not obvious. Oh, that's like completely arbitrary what you do and do not consider to be obvious, or it's not arbitrary, it's rather just completely conditional on your own perspective. So, I don't know, looking at things through that lens, I think, has helped me a lot in life, and like understanding where people are coming from, at least where they should have that benefit of the doubt or extra appreciation for what they're going for, because there's also the like tolerance of intolerance paradox and all that stuff to consider, which that's something I'm terrible for. I will give anyone the time of day, at least until they unequivocally prove that we will never be on the same page, and don't really have any interest in pursuing that further, but is what it is. But you think there is a more formal term for it, but you're not sure what it is? You know, the moat and bailey is a similar thing? You mean like the strategic fortifications of a medieval castle? That's at least all I know for Moat and Bailey, but I'll have to look that up to see what the equivalent is for that expression, or what it's what it represents. 'Cause I don't know. Okay. I think roach beetle. Damn it. Okay, yes, roach beetle. I was about to say I really hope the rad roach comes next to us while at least one other spider is alive to kind of prevent them from choosing the nuclear option to take care of our dumbass, but kind of worked out there. Am I near a stairwell? I mean, I'm not terribly far, but neither am I terribly close. I'm terribly exactly where I mean to. Shoot. This might just be a teleport, even though teleport, I mean, it's honestly better than expected. I was gonna guess that it was gonna drop me right in here, but fair play. Fair play to you, teleport. What else can I do against these sons of guns? I mean, I can keep chugging teleports until the end of the day, but chugging, weird way to imbibe scrolls, but to each their own. I'm all about reading the content labels on bottles and just gulping down that sweet, sweet literature. Teleport 9 times to freedom, exactly. How could it possibly go otherwise? There we go. Exactly like we knew it would happen there. I mean, the first teleport we knew was trash, but that one hit different.